Did I get the right button there? Perfect. Good deal. Good evening. Welcome to the October 15, 2020 meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal-Regional Planning Commission meeting. Our first thing on our agenda tonight is to set the agenda. I am aware of one change right now with our agenda. That is that item 4.1, which was the preliminary plat for the Canebrake subdivision, deferred prior to the meeting at the request of the applicant. So item 4.1 on your agenda was deferred for tonight's meeting. Any other changes, amendments, adjustments? With that being said, we will set the agenda as stated. Next item up on our agenda is our staff reports. Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to remind everybody about the Mount Juliet Senior Activity Center Spaghetti Luncheon and Dinner fundraiser that they have going on. Tomorrow's the last day for that. So you can pick up between 11 and 1:30 or 4 to 6:30. And they also have a delivery option available. So they got hit pretty hard with COVID. So they could use any support that we could offer them. So I encourage you to get a spaghetti plate for lunch tomorrow. And also, I wanted to remind you that on November the 13th from 8 to noon, Middle Tennessee, TAPA is having a virtual training session. So that's free, and they will also be recording it if you cannot make it that day. I think several of you might have expressed interest in maybe borrowing an iPad from us, a loaner, if you don't have access to a computer, and we can certainly make that available to you. And the last thing I wanted to mention was on December the 4th of 2000, Mayor Haggerty was nominated as a planning commission member. That was like 2 days after I was born, just so y'all know. December 4th, 2000. And Gino was 10. So we're going to honor him. This is our last planning commission meeting before the election. And on October the 26th from 5 to 6 p.m. we're having a reception. I hope everybody can come out and thank him for his service to the city and especially the planning department. Thank you.
It's October 26th from 5 to 6?
5 to 6 in this room. October 26th. It's a Monday night just before the planning or Board of Commissioners meeting.
Gotcha.
We're hoping for some embarrassing photos. If you have any, we'd love to share those.
Yeah, you can do that now, right?
We can do it now.
Exactly. No repercussions. Anything, I guess, Mr. Barlow? Yeah, come on up.
Just throw me out to the wolves tonight.
Yes.
Couple of issues. Last month, I'd mentioned to you all the I-40 bridge widening project that was let out by TDOT on October 9th. At the price of $5,921,188.51 to the apparent low bid to Dement Construction. So hopefully we'll get that going soon. TDOT's managing that project. And one other item I talked about last month was the successful ribbon cutting at the Town Center Greenway. So that was a big success for us and the citizens of Mount Juliet. I enjoyed it. Love running that Greenway. So that's all we've got from Public Works.
Wonderful. Thank you. With that being said, as Ms. Hamlin said there, that this is election season. And so as all of you know that we are a appointed board. So as the election goes, and we know that we have a new mayor, no matter what comes out of this election, as our current mayor, Mayor Haggerty, is chosen not to rerun this year. I was actually appointed, I've been through here long enough that I've been through 2 mayors. I was actually appointed by Mayor Elam and then reappointed, I guess, underneath Mayor Haggerty. So it has been quite some time that I've been along with this board. So we never know what could come. But with that being said, Mayor Haggerty reached out to me today and asked to come in via a Zoom call and express his gratitude and appreciation. So I think we've found a way to get him into the meeting. So let's see what we can do.
Hello, Planning Commission.
We have you, Mayor.
Can you give me a thumbs up? Oh, I lost the screen. Okay. Hey, I'm going to assume that you can hear me, Mr. Chairman, and the many planning commissioners that are there. I wish I could have been there in person tonight, but as all of you know, there's so many things going around, so I'm not there in person, and now you hear my dog barking. But the reason I wanted to speak for just a minute, and by the way, I know you have a heavy agenda, and I don't want to take much time, but I want to personally thank each and every one of you for the sacrifice that you and your family has made to be a part of this planning commission. This, in my opinion, is hands down the best planning commission that has ever been put together. And I say that with coming from a place of experience. I was on the planning commission myself from the year 2000 to what year, I'm not even sure. But you all have just done a yeoman's job with the issues that have come before you. I know there have been many, many very late nights. I know there have been very many sacrifices that you have made on behalf of your fellow citizens. And I just wanted to commend you for that before, and this was my last chance. It's your last time to be together as a group, and I just wanted to commend you all. I did want to point out just a few things. I do have a letter coming to you, and you know there are 5 elected officials. There are 9 of you on the planning commission. There's about 40 other people who are involved with the city on appointed boards in different positions. And then, of course, there's about 180 city employees. And that team has worked together so incredibly well that I want to tell you kind of where we're at as a city and give you a report card, if you will, on what you have done for your city. This is not in any order. This is pretty random, but we look at the rankings. So the number of groups study the cities and tell us how we're doing. And so just so you know, you've been an integral part of the following. We are ranked the 3rd most family-friendly city in the state. We are ranked the 5th safest city in the state. We've been designated as a playful city by Kaboom Enterprises for 8 years in a row. We were ranked 4th in the state as City on the Rise. We were 1st in the state for Best City for Millennials. Think about that one for a minute. And then we were 1st in the state for efficiency in terms of government. In addition, on a national scale, we were ranked number 15 healthiest housing market in the nation, which of course you all have a big part in that. And then we were ranked number 22 best place in the United States to live. Best place in the United States to live, number 22. Those accolades would not have been possible without you, without the Planning Commission, without all the sacrifices that you and your family have made to be a part of this. I just couldn't be happier with the Planning Commission that we have together. I do get a number of letters. I wish I had shared these with you through the years as we went through the year together. Here is a recent one that I got, and I think it reflects very well on the Planning Commission. This basically, it's addressed to me, but it really is for you. This person says, my husband and I moved to Mount Juliet just over 1 year ago. We had no idea how different Mount Juliet is from the rest of Middle Tennessee. We had no idea what we would find. It is so close to Nashville, yet maintains its sense of community. We have quickly made friends and fit right in. We feel safe and at home. This is an amazing place that has kept the small town feel, but has all the conveniences as we need as residents. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It's the best planning commission we have ever assembled. You all have done a great, great job. I do want to stress, I hope that the next mayor would be wise and keep you all together in your positions that you're in now. And if you are asked by that next mayor, I hope and pray that you will continue to serve in this role. Thank you all. I know you have a long meeting tonight, and I will just sign off and Godspeed to every one of you. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's awesome. That is wonderful. Kind of puts things into queue for all of us, and lets you appreciate the time that you have and any moment, and the responsibility of what we do here within our planning commission, and how much, heck, I've seen it change. When I started, there was our city planner sitting right there. So it's really changed a lot. I know Commissioner Giles will need to excuse himself from the meeting this evening, but I think that you had a couple of comments you'd like to make prior to taking off.
I do. I wanted to be here to hear the mayor say that, because I've been part of this commission for a long time. And there's a possibility that I will still stay here, but I don't know. And that has to do obviously with the election. So I'm the representative now from the BOC. And before, I was appointed as well by the mayor, and was appointed by Ms. Elam. And so I've served a long time, and I will have to tell you that the mayor is absolutely right on it. This is the best one that we've ever had. And I appreciate all of y'all. And it's been a wonderful team and a wonderful ride for me. So if I don't make it back, thank you. And I look forward to, and I hope, like he said, that the new mayor will keep all of y'all, because there's just, we're truly a team. We don't always agree, but we really are. And but that's the way it should be, you know. So from my heart too, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, lots of goodbyes. So let's start back over and let's say hello. Welcome to the meeting of the Mount Juliet Municipal-Regional Planning Commission for October 15th of 2020. And we're going to close 2020 the way that it should, and in a good way and a responsible way, as we always try to conduct our business up here. That being said, let's move on to our next item on the agenda. Our next item is citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment, welcome and encouraged to do so. Seeing no citizen comments this time, we'll move forward with the next item on our agenda. Next item is minutes approval, item 2.1, the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes from September 17th of 2020. Any typos, errors, changes, amendments? Commissioner Turner?
I have two that I want to make a question about. One is on page 1. Last one under Shane says Public Works, October 8th, TDOT contact letting on bridge widening. Would that be contract letting?
Sounds right.
What?
Sounds right.
Okay. And then on 4.4, which is page 6, where Chris Long notes that he feels that sidewalks should be included in new sidewalks. I think that might need to say subdivisions. Chris, is that what you meant?
Would be my guess, yeah.
Okay.
Sounds accurate.
That was all.
Any other changes, amendments, adjustments? Seeing none, at this time I'd like to ask for a motion in regard to this item on our agenda.
Motion.
It's a motion
I'll second that.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item on our agenda falls underneath our consent agenda. We'll begin with item 3.1, Walton's Grove Pump Station, sewer letter of credit number 900-21032 in the amount of $246,860.33 can be released. Item 3.2, review the final plat for the enclave at Providence Central, located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. Item 3.3, review the final plat for Jackson Hills Phase 5, Section 5C, located at Planters Trail. Item 3.4, review the final plat for Kelsey Glen Phase 6, located at Grayson Circle. Item 3.5, review the final plat for Providence Parkway, located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. Item 3.6, review the final plat for Winfield Phase 3, located at Central Pike. Item 3.7, review the Providence Central Commercial Mass Grading, located at Providence Parkway and Central Pike. Item 3.8, review the 2021 Regional Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals calendars. Ms. Hammond?
Thank you. Staff recommends approval with any conditions listed in your staff report.
I have one quick question. Let me find it here real quick. Find. My question was in regards to Providence Central, the Providence Central Commercial Mass Grading Project. It has a Public Works comment. It says, comment number 1 says, per the PUD condition, move buildings A and G to the front setback line. Revised grading is needed.
I'm going to let Shane come up and speak to you on that.
Great.
Yes, sir.
I just can't recall that condition, so just look and clarify, talking about that. That's really all that I'm asking. I just don't remember a lot of discussion regarding pushing the building to the front.
That was done more to eliminate a row of parking, but we're working with the developers on that. It's ongoing. It was more of a general comment and concept, and we'll further evaluate that as we get into construction plan review.
So it's a suggestion, not a condition.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perfect. Is all that I have. Any further questions or comments from the commission? Ms. Hamlin, you got something?
No.
Good?
Good.
Okay. This time we'll call for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. See no citizen comments at this time, we will open a public hearing. Public hearing is in regards to item 3.2, review the final plat for the enclave at Providence Central located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. Item 3.3, review the final plat for Jackson Hills Phase 5, Section 5C located at Planters Trail. Item 3.4, review the final plat for Kelsey Glen Phase 6 located at Grayson Circle. Item 3.5, review the final plat for Providence Parkway located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. And item 3.6, review the final plat for Winfield Phase 3 located at Central Pike. Anyone wishing to make comment during the public hearing is welcome and encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we'll close our public hearing, reopen our planning commission meeting, in which I would like to ask for a motion in regards to these items on our agenda, on the consent agenda. It's motion. Second by Commissioner Franklin. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Commissioner Franklin, please.
Yeah, I had a question about one. I know it's been deferred, but on this Cambridge, I know it's going to come back.
Mm.
And my question was just, I recently found out that it went before the County Planning Commission. And I was just wondering, Jennifer, do you know why it went to the Planning Commission in Wilson County?
For their zoning rights. That was my understanding. They had to get it rezoned. I think it's split zoning, R1 and R2. I know that's Ryan's project. Do you know much about it?
I'm pretty sure the Planning Commission doesn't get the zone.
I agree. I'm not sure how that happened. I wasn't involved in any of it. I was never notified at all of this development until about 2 months ago.
Okay. I'll have to ask the county. I mean, I just don't understand why. Is there any reason that anyone knows? Am I so lacking in my continuing education that
I would
I
love to
missed
know.
something?
I would myself love to know if you find out.
Okay, thank you.
No, aye.
Because typically they would submit a rezone if it's in our UGB to us for a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners or the County Commission.
Yeah.
And we never saw that.
But this had its zoning. Zoning was in place anyway, right?
I don't know if R2 is there. They're stating it was there. So apparently they just come in for their plating. Oh, clarification on the zoning. So it might be worth a call or a conference with Mr. Brashear.
Okay, thank you.
I too had lots of questions about this one, so I was pleasant when
Oh, I
it
did
was
too. That
deferred.
was just,
I think we were
All
all
right.
in our heels.
So that one was deferred. Our next two items fall both underneath final master development plan and site plan. Would there be any objection to hearing these two items together? Ms. Hamlin, would that be okay with you guys?
Certainly.
That'd be all right?
Mhm.
All right, I'd like to see no objection to that. We will hear items 5.1 and 5.2 together. Item 5.1 is review the final master development plan for the enclave at Providence Central located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. Item 5.2 is review the site plan for the enclave at Providence Central located at Adams Lane and Central Pike. Ms. Hamlin.
Thanks. If you guys remember, you saw the PUD amendment for this, I believe, in May of this year. It's a mixed-use development on 20 acres. You knew it as Providence Central PUD. It's now the Enclave at Providence Central. It includes 9 buildings and 3 detached garage structures and a freestanding commercial structure. The total number of apartments is 296 and has a density of 14.8 dwelling units per acre. A 10,000 square foot commercial space is proposed on the 2.72 acres of this 20 acres, and the percentage of their commercial uses is 13.6%. We have had several discussions about their building facade requirements, and I have a condition, let's see, number 7, each elevation shall not exceed 10% hardy. And I would like to strike that and replace that with our council, along with the applicant's council, will determine the wording on that. The reason is I have interpreted it differently than what they say happened at BOC, and I just like the opportunity for them to work that out, but go ahead and move this project along. We do recommend approval with that change.
Ms. Gruner. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that, let's go ahead and ask for representation. Do we in agreement with that statement? In agreement with the other conditions? Name and address for the record.
Joe Haddock, Civil Site Design Group, 2305 Klein Avenue. Yes, we are in agreement with Ms. Hamlin's revision to number 7 on the planning and zoning comments. Plan in general is substantially the same as what was presented before this board or this body earlier this year. Mr. Chairman, you mentioned earlier about the buildings closer to the setback. One change would be building number 4 on this site in particular has been pushed up closer to Providence Parkway to give and the parking eliminated between the right of way and the building. Try to help address that comment. I would like to thank staff, both planning and public works. We've continued, it seems like this is about the only project we've worked on for the past 12 months. Lots of time and effort has gone into it. They've been great to work with, as they usually are. We can answer any additional questions or comments y'all may have.
Questions or comments from the commission? Thank you. Oh, Commissioner Turner,
Yes, sir.
please.
I'm very pleased about your parking. When I read that, I wrote good.
Yeah, we worked hard on that.
I know you did.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I always look at. And so I really appreciate you working hard on getting, 90 extra spaces. One question I have is about building 1. Will that be part commercial too, or is that all residential?
There is a commercial component along the front facade that faces out towards the parking.
Can you tell me how that works? Because the other thing that I like what you're doing is that you have a lot of security. And I think that you have like a gate key or a card. I like that. Can you tell me how that's going to work with security for the rest of the building or rest of the complex?
I'll defer that question to the developer. He can better address that than I.
Sure.
Mike Murphy, Cumberland Advisors, 2305 Klein Avenue. Help me understand. So you're wondering how the commercial works with
No,
access
sir.
or the
I
security?
like the security that you're providing the complex with the gates. And I was wondering, since you're going to have a commercial component in building one, and there'll be some commercial and some residential, how will you keep the residential safe from people coming in from the commercial side? Will there be like a backdoor entrance that you can get into the residential area?
Yes, so the commercial, you'll be able to access the commercial suites. There's 4 across the frontage there directly from the street. And so we have parking immediately in front of that. And then the residential will have restricted access to the interior corridors, key fobs.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
And as far as the commercial building, I think that's building 2, I believe. Oh, what's that going to look like? What's that going to be?
In your package, you should have kind of the concept elevations there. So it's going to be a 2-story volume. We'll have to wait a little bit further until we can get some actual interest. Until we get the road closer to being in, it's going to be hard to know. But we've designed that to where it could be a 1 or 2-story volume. If it's 1 story, that a potential use would be a restaurant. They could take that whole floor plate.
Mhm.
And if not, it would be local retail on the first floor, perhaps a coffee shop or local retail, and then office on the second level.
Mhm. What kind of retail do you think will be in building 1? Those 4 spots there. What do you envision?
I would envision real estate agents, insurance agents, perhaps art gallery, something where you have interaction with the public, but it's not heavy retail, if you know what I mean.
Would a coffee shop be something that would be appropriate there?
Possibility, but I think that it would probably be more, I would probably encourage them to go to my commercial building. I'd love to have a coffee shop in that building, and it is perfect for it.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. The other thing that I was just curious about was that there was some interest in moving that building closer to Providence Parkway, building 1, I should say. Can you share with me your thoughts and ideas about why you want to keep it where it is?
Yes, sir, I can. Basically, for the reason that I just described. So the first building does have commercial, which means public access. And so we want to have parking in front of that so that the public will be able to park, go in and have a transaction. An attorney would be another potential use there. Go in, see their person and go out. And then the other thing with the way the site is designed and is typical is to have your clubhouse in the center of your first building or in the center of the development, and then have the pool and amenity structure immediately behind that. So there's really no way to move that up. And as you mentioned, we have gated access, we have controlled access. So that does kind of 2 functions. One, it separates the residential parking areas for security and for just to save them a spot, quite frankly, from the commercial. And the other reason is that we made our clubhouse large, and what we're trying to do is engage the community, both the public and our community. And by doing that, we create an atmosphere that's conducive for tenant retention, number one, but also it makes it just a tighter knit community. And in order to do that, and the other thing that we did in making that large clubhouse is we've created a lot of different areas that'll be utilized for different uses. For instance, we have a
co-working area. So people that perhaps are renting an apartment unit and, working from home, like a lot of us are doing now, they don't have to work in their apartments 24/7. They can come down to a public space and interact with people, or perhaps have meetings, and there'll be meeting spaces and things like that. And then also we have the mail facility inside our clubhouse. So that's going to, really necessitate, most people are going to come in, park in the front like a commercial space, go in, get their mail, say hello to whoever, and we're trying to have interaction with people that way. And then they'll go around to the gate, get in, maybe drive to the back of the property, and that's where they live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So did that adequately answer your
Yes.
question?
Where's your leasing office going to be? Will it be?
In the very front of the clubhouse.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I like what you're doing.
Thank
as
you.
far as the security, as far as the community atmosphere, as far as extra parking. I appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to ask you lastly would be, Public Works had mentioned about an 8-foot wide multi-use path for recreational purposes on the site. And, with your large clubhouse, 11,000 square feet, 1,300-foot pool, grills, charcoal, fire pits. Is that something that you're planning on doing? Is putting that 8-foot walking path around?
No, sir, we considered that, but given the amount of extensive path system in the Providence Central PUD, didn't feel like that is what we wanted to do. And then it also is a little bit counterintuitive to what you were just saying about security. And we don't really want to encourage a lot of people going through the site. We want to keep that for our residents.
So that's concerning to me, as far as you'll have, close to 300 apartments here. And so, people want to get out, walk around, take their kids for a walk, things like that. Where will they be walking?
Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because that is where we're spending quite a bit of money on the interior between buildings, 1, 2, and 3. There's a lot of green space through there. And it's been my experience for other communities that I have done is that I have a focal point, and I find that a lot of people like to walk not in circles, but they like to walk, they like to walk a track sort of thing. And so if you look at the central portion, we actually have an outer and an inner track here. So people will walk in that area. They'll walk their pets and they'll walk. But again, we're encouraging interaction in those areas, and there's amenity spaces and green spaces and that sort of thing. So it's a path on the perimeter. While I can see that's a nice thing, it just is going to compete with what we're already doing to facilitate traffic patterns inside the site. And then of course we do have sidewalks that take you out to the 10-foot path that's part of Providence Parkway. And then obviously there's a 7-foot walk on the other side of Providence Walkway. So we envision a lot of people walking this, but we feel like that what's already in place and in the works is going to be adequate.
And I thought I read somewhere where there's, when we're crossing the parking lot or something, there's like some crosswalks or something, pedestrian crosswalks that are well marked, or
they will be well marked. Yeah, and they're shown on your site plan.
Will they be raised or just marked?
We are still working through those details.
Okay. And then there's one more thing too. I'm sorry, Mike. You was talking about the commercial building and how you'd want to have a restaurant there or a coffee shop. That you'd love to see a coffee shop there. I see on Public Works number 6 that asked for a grease trap in the commercial building. And I think that's a really good idea.
Well, that would be per use. So if we never had a restaurant,
if that is the use, then by all means, we would do that. But if it ends up being 100% office or something like that, where that would be not utilized, it would just be a super adequacy.
I would like to make that a condition because there might be a restaurant there at some time. And it's probably cheaper to do that ahead of time than do it after a thought. Wouldn't that be the case?
It would be, well, we definitely need to do it concurrent with the construction of that building. Is that something that you haven't had discussions with?
No, the way the sewer is routed through the site, there's room. Let me back up a step. We've run across this before with a couple projects here locally that with the sewer service construction hasn't left enough space from the building to the sewer line to install grease trap if it's needed. That is not the case with this current layout. So there's ample room to come in as his tenant comes online to add a grease trap if needed. But it's a $10,000 expense that may or may not be required in the future. Obviously, building department won't give his tenant a build out permit if there's no grease trap there. Say the restaurant comes in, so they would have to put one in regardless. I just hate to put a big concrete box in the ground for no reason if it's not needed.
Or you put it in the wrong place because it goes over here.
Right, yeah,
instead of
if
over
it-
here, it goes in center.
Say their kitchen ends up on the other
by
side of the
code,
building,
yeah.
it
By
won't
code,
work
they
for the
have to put
location
it in
we'll
for it.
pick.
They don't have any choice. So they'll need to dictate it here because their tenant will dictate.
Codes will make
Yeah.
us do it anyway.
You have to.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You would think they would save some money on the front end then, because you'd be charging that tenant rent and then you have to put in the grease trap, might cost you 3 times that much. And so that could be almost like better planning ahead, I guess I should say. Better to plan ahead than to cause issues in the future, headaches in the future, obstacles in the future.
Well, yeah, if there's a restaurant in there, like you said, codes will make us do it, and we will definitely do that, obviously.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you.
Further questions, comments from the commission? I know I jumped ahead of myself a little bit and didn't ask for Shane from Public Works comments in regards to this item. Shane, would you mind addressing your Public Works standpoint?
We would like to, excuse me, we would like to add 2 comments. First one being along Providence Parkway, any drainage has to be accounted for within the site to meet water quality and quantity demands from future construction. Second comment kind of adds on to comment 8 about the 8-foot multi-use path. We would like to see one on the western bounds of the property where we have the comment for the stub out and incorporate that onto the next slot since they are grading off to the next site. And that's all I've got.
Tell me exactly where you would line that up.
We feel as though it could straddle the property line, tying into the 10-foot multi-use path on the greenway onto that multi-use trail that's existing out there, and then looping it around to the next lot to create a dedicated recreational use for a trail. And they've done a good job showing within the site. We'd made a comment previously about a more open sidewalk system within the community, but we view it as a more dedicated recreational trail or an 8-foot path going down the western side of the property. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Thoughts on that?
I like that.
Yeah, I did have a discussion with Mr. Barlow earlier about this. On the western side of the property, if y'all can envision the mass grading plan that was approved, we had a concept layout for the north side of the parkway. Okay. Our vision currently, if you remember back to the PUD, would be that same layout flipped to the south side of the parkway, essentially. L-shaped buildings across the frontage, creating a big pedestrian corridor that runs parallel with Central Pike. With that development, basically from our western property line down to Central Pike is going to be graded in the future, which would mean if we put a trail in along our western property line, it would just get ripped out, hopefully within the next 5 years as development progresses. Another item along that western boundary is the existing cemetery that we're protecting. Is basically right adjacent to the western boundary line. So those two items, I would like to defer the trail to as that commercial develops. We have the pedestrian corridor that runs parallel with Central Pike. We want all the pedestrian connectivity. We have set it up with a sidewalk on the south side of Building 8 and on the north side of Building 8 that could potentially tie to that future commercial with the installation of a access control gate at some point as that trail develops or that adjacent commercial develops. It is also set up, as Mike mentioned, the 10-foot walking trail along Providence Parkway, as well as the sidewalk we're showing in front of the proposed freestanding commercial building. So, we feel we've worked through it with staff, created, we made the sidewalks bigger through the site as Mike's described. You have the 10-foot walking trail that now is going to go from the existing Creekside apartments all the way to Central Pike day one. There's just lots of opportunity to walk through this area as opposed to putting in a couple hundred feet of trail, 700 feet it looks like, that's just going to get torn out in 5 years.
So where would this trail go if we put it in? On the western side?
It would go from the south side of Building 8 to Central Pike, to Providence Parkway Extension.
And hit the sidewalk there on the road?
Yeah. But again, there's no, with the security concerns that you've brought up earlier, there's no way for access control. So it would be a quasi public sidewalk that would dead end on the south side of Building 8 that isn't going to go anywhere in the future.
Can we have Shane come back up? I'm still a little confused about.
Yes, sir.
Where's this going to go? With the security concerns and then just the 8-foot trail from Building 8 to Providence Parkway. Is that?
We were envisioning trail starting at the roadway, riding property back towards the south and wrapping back around the property line with potential for the trail to be extended out with new development on the next adjacent lot.
I gotta say, that one concerns me a bunch. I mean, that's when you got a gated community, you got this, and you got something that's going to go residential and then buffer against commercial, and you got commercial mixed in there. If I were living there, there's nothing about that accessibility to the back of my house making me feel warm and fuzzy about that. We do that within our PUDs and our 100% residential neighborhoods, and then we have sidewalks that are tying, like up at Providence together, and but taking something theoretical right now and that we've not even looked on the master plan for it, wasn't really mentioned as anything in here. I see the logic behind it, because I think that's a great deal to give people opportunities and accessibility, but too bad Commissioner Giles isn't here right now, because he is the sidewalk king of Mount Juliet. I promise you that. And he and I argue over sidewalks pretty often. But this is a site plan with a lot of sidewalks, with a lot of walkability internally with it. And to make a commitment to do a theoretical trail that could tie into something, could not. You are going to change the grade a little bit. I don't think it would be out of the realm to say in your mass grading plan, consider taking account for it, but not necessarily making a condition to build, because it's sort of like either a land use plan or a transportation plan. They're plans because there was a plan laid out before us and it gave us something to follow, but there's not really a plan to quote unquote follow through this and make it all contiguous and tie together on that. And I think that the purpose and the intent is there, but for the people that will be staying here, I think that it does propose an immediate security risk for them. That's just my general thought on it.
Yeah, I agree with Luke.
I don't necessarily want to remove it as a comment. I'd like to continue to have it in there as a consider. So it's not necessarily you have to do it, but if we can find a way to accomplish it during mass grading, we can find a way to maybe next month bring us a theoretical plan of how we could make something like that throughout this entire development, where we can tie that walkability together between. It's something that definitely you can look at Providence right now and even over towards Paddocks. We got the sidewalks, but if you can give an opportunity and a means for people to get out there and ride a bike or something else, because my understanding is bike riders don't ride on sidewalks anymore, but yet when I grew up, that's the only place we rode a bike was on a sidewalk, but you're not allowed to be on a sidewalk with a bike. So it's always confusing to me about that one.
Knock the runners over.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but a lot of people want to do something like that. So if we got a sort of if they can take to account, keep it as a consideration, because I think that there's value and merit within that, but not necessarily as a requirement. But let's see if we can, maybe you guys work with us on the master plan and see if we can incorporate something like that, because your retailers right now need any mechanism possible for them to help feed customers in a door. Mm-hmm. And so if we can continue to do that, because the retail tax dollars that come in are so valuable to the city. So if we can find ways to get people there, but at the same time, find ways for people to get exercise and things like that, I think that that's good planning in itself as well, right there. And I appreciate the comment on it. And I'd like to see it remain in there as a consideration, but not necessarily as a requirement. And I'd love to see you guys, see if you could come up with something that we could maybe work with Mr. Barlow and Shane as well to come up with something that we could feasibly get us a plan, and then we can enforce it every time that we go through this project as it comes through, whether or not this body is the one to enforce it down the road or another group of individuals. So just my nickel work. Thank you. Any other feedback, discussion, questions, comments from the commission? This time we'll call for citizen comments. Any citizens wish to make comment, welcome, encouraged to do so. I do miss the days of citizen comments, though, you guys. It is different running these meetings with an empty house, and I've seen them. I've seen them stacked and packed to the walls. We've ordered pizza up here in the past, and it's a different environment that we are in right now, and it's exceeded fire code. Yes, I've had to learn fire code, unfortunately, in my tenure up here because we've had too many people. And to go back with even today, I know that you all remember our first meeting here amidst the COVID, there was nobody knew what to do or how to think or how to react. So yeah, it's definitely a changed environment. That being said, no citizen comments. I am looking for a motion regards to, remember, we're hearing 5.1 and 5.2 together. So I'm looking for a motion. I will make a motion for approval, subject to staff comments, and also with the addition of, we have to get the verbiage on that additional public works comment, the drainage handled on site, I think.
Yes.
The drainage on Providence Parkway to be handled on site. If you can help me with that verbiage real quick.
Quantity and quality.
Runoff generated by the road needs to be detained or accounted for within the site.
Okay. That right there. And
Consider the trail.
And
then do we need to
Is that part of 8? or-
do any, yeah, it's going to stay in there, but it's a consideration, not necessarily a requirement. And then
Number
do we need
7.
to add any verbiage on that number 7? You're just good with it? You guys will work that out?
oh, is that yours?
Like council from both ends
Sure, I
look
would have to know.
around 8.
Council from both ends will determine the applicability of the 10% hardy requirement.
Yes.
That okay?
And
Is
strike number 7 and just replace it with that.
Okay.
Please.
that okay with everyone?
I do have a question. on
Please.
number 7. So with that 10%, would specifically on building 1, front archway, would that be all brick on the front and then the remain all the hardy on the other 3 sides, or could there be hardy on the front?
They're showing hardy on the front. And that is, I wish these pages were numbered, but it says front elevation building type 1. It's the very first elevation page. I think it's 17% hardy is what they're showing. My recollection was per facade and their recollection was overall. So we just need to work that out.
Okay. Seems to me if we're gonna make a variance, that maybe we should, what fronts the road should look how it's supposed to look. And then the variance could be in the other 3 sides and maybe increase, that 10% is all wrapped in those 3 sides. I think it would give them a better profile to the road front.
They're actually not asking for a waiver tonight. That was something that was addressed
Oh,
at the
okay.
preliminary master development plan.
Okay. So it's still going to be something to be addressed by council. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So item number 7 underneath planning and zoning, underneath my recommendation shall read that city's council and council of applicant to clarify and work out the percentages allowed of hardy as a design accent.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's my motion. It's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. With that being said, I did fail to do something that I meant to mention over here that wanted to wish a happy belated birthday to our Commissioner Searcy over here. I understand that he had a birthday. He's 21 now, so if anybody sees him out, you can be welcome to give him a cheers. So happy belated birthday to Commissioner Searcy. That being said, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion? Who's going to? Yeah, and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are adjourned.
When was your birthday, Larry?